there are a lot of professionals, primarily women, who are walking through this world without passion and purpose in their life. And I had this really sad experience that was a great wake-up call for me, but don't wait for the wake up. You can have passion, you can have purpose. And we feel like if nothing changes, that nothing will change. But that's not the case. Everything is always changing. So if you feel like, well, it's fine and we can go on like this forever, something will happen. And the things that we're in denial about have a way of just reappearing.
They do. Oprah calls those the whispers. They just get louder and louder and louder until you have to listen, until life says no more. You have to listen to whatever this is. Angie, you are on a mission to help people be the best version of themselves. And I read that came from your own journey in the Marines and your cadets or officers pushing you to step out and be your authentic self. Tell me more about that.
One of the biggest takeaways, Lisa, and thank you so much for having me on your program, but one of the biggest takeaways I learned in the Marine Corps is that we all have this sense of self that is built and constructed through our childhood. And then you go into the Marine Corps with this sense of what it is that you can achieve or accomplish. And then you realize that none of the training in the Marine Corps is really designed for you to complete by yourself. It is designed for you to realize that it takes a team to accomplish the task. But with the team, you are so much greater and more successful than with your own talents, capabilities. And by the way, those talents and capabilities, you actually put some significant limits on what it is that you thought you were capable of. If I were to go back prior to joining the Marines, thinking about what I could accomplish, those ideas would be destroyed if I looked at my highlight reel of going through training.
Who was Angie before the Marines?
She was a person who thought, being captain of my cross country team, being president of student council, that a title made you a leader. And one of the most interesting things about going through the Marine Corps is that you realize that the title does not make you a leader. It's your action and behavior. And so that was most pronounced when I left active duty, because I went through this foundational, pivotal shift in what I thought about leadership. And then I go back into the real world, start working in the private sector and realize that, oh, wait. People think in this world now that you have to be a title to be a leader. When I just had this profound experience, I said, no. It is about how you show up, how you care for people, the credibility and influence you build with people. And so that was the significant shift. I think most of us are waiting around for somebody to promote us into or tell us that we're a leader, but it's actually something that we can take and claim right now, today. Just like that, right? Don't wait for people to give you a crown or give you a staff. Just call yourself a leader and believe it and be it.
And some of the best leaders that I know, actually, I've been reading the Tao recently. I'm Christian, but I've been reading Tao philosophy. And it says that the best leaders are the ones that are the best followers. And that we don't need that title. We need, we get to take what we know about leadership and serve others. Is that taught in the Marines?
It is. Service-based leadership is one of those fundamental qualities that you embrace. And it's realizing that me bossing everybody around and telling you what to do is only going to get us so far. I need you to feel empowered to act and not wait around to be told. And sometimes, I have to support you because you have a higher rank than me, just because you're in charge. This is this. And so there's always that delicate dance, I think, that people get confused by, when to lead and when to follow. Maybe a better question is, how do I need to show up to support you? Do you need me to take control, or do you need me just to back off?
How do I need to show up? I love that question. How do I need to show up? I think that speaks to me as a parent. I've learned that lesson over and over again. Okay. So side note, you and I have probably a whole lot not in common, and some things that are in common. One, I have two boys, 14 and 16. No, 14 and 16. He just turned 14. I went through a divorce after 16 years.
Yep.
I think that was your journey too, or has been your journey. 17 years was what I read.
Yes.
I was student body president. I just learned that you were student council president.
Exactly. Yep.
What made you decide to become a Marine?
It was really my parents. they knew that I wanted to be an English major. I didn't really want to be a teacher. I was an athlete. They didn't think that the strains or of the Marine Corps physical nature of the service were going to be that challenging for me, but they knew that I'd love the challenge. And so they really redirected me when I was a freshman in college to say, why don't you check this out? And then you go for the curiosity, you stay for the people. And I had the best time in the Marine Corps and, went on to be a spouse of an active duty Marine, my first husband, have two boys, some of the hardest leadership roles in this world, right? Being parents to two boys, especially teenage boys.
Yeah.
And I attribute any success that I have in any role that I fill to just to that foundational learning I picked up in the Marine Corps.
I love that so much. Who is Angie on the other side of divorce? Now, I have so many women in my world and in my audience who are either, even if they're not saying it out loud, they're thinking about a divorce, or they're in the middle of a divorce, or they're just discovering who they are on the other side of divorce. And for me, my divorce was life altering and shifting in the best possible way and also in the most difficult way. It was one of the darkest times of my life. And I know I wouldn't be who I am today had I not gone through my divorce, had I not made that decision. What are some of the lessons that you've learned and who are you on the other side of it?
As you're talking about that too, it reminds me of the phrase that I constantly call my divorce, and that's the best, worst thing that has ever happened to me. And it was dark and it was awful and it was terrible. And it was amazing and powerful and transformative. And I would say during that, I can't believe how scared I was. I think from the financial perspective, you lose half your assets and you forget that what wasn't taken from you is all of your talent. And that was the biggest thing that I just had this aha moment, because when you're going through, it's like you're naked walking through the forest wondering, how am I going to survive? And you think you've lost so much. You forget what it is that you have. And that was a powerful shift for me. So once I started to realize that they're just things that you can't take away from me, I started to grow in my comfort and confidence. And so on the other side of it, I feel more empowered to figure things out. There's this phrase that I'm working on developing a book and just some thought leadership around, but it's something that I picked up in the Marine Corps. It's called being the actual. So if you imagine, if you will, if you're a Marine in a far off post and you've got a problem and you need help, you pick up the radio and you ask for the actual, and that's actually the call sign for commanding officer. And they answer and they do whatever they need to do to take care of you. And then you realize though, and this is something that I did after my divorce and was feeling finally empowered, was that I'm the actual. I'm the commanding officer in my life. And if there's a problem, it is on me to solve. And I just started learning like stupid stuff. Like I learned how to grill.
Yeah.
Just something that I always just never did. And then I got much more intimate with my finances too, because in the situation we found ourselves in, I had to buy him out of the house. And I just started putting, that as a priority. I wouldn't say not just budgeting, but I really got very intimate with my situation, realizing it was always on me. And the funny thing is that it shouldn't take a crisis for us all to realize that it's all on us, because it always was. We always have the ability to take utter control of our life. And that was possibly the biggest thing that had shifted and changed for me.
I hear that. I resonate with that. Thank you for sharing that. And I believe that you're 1000% right about that. That the day that we decide to stand up, take 1000% ownership of our own lives is the day everything changes. And we get to do that financially. And so for anyone listening and hearing this today, my question to you is, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? For a lot of women that I coach, it's permission, waiting for someone to give them permission. But what I'm hearing you say, most importantly, is give yourself permission.
Another phrase in the military, permission granted. Sometimes you just don't have to, you don't have to ask. Like it's there for you. It's there to take. And I understand the fear of making, again, making your own decisions about where you're going on vacation, making your own decisions about how you want to spend your money, and wanting those answers to be found externally, but knowing those answers are within. And it's scary because it's on you if you make a bad choice. But then you have to think, when in life, other than this marriage and staying too long, have I made a bad choice? Right?
Yeah. For
And
me,
that's,
go ahead.
yeah. No, and that's my book, Bet on You. It's like there comes a time in your life and you just have to start betting on yourself. You've never failed
You have to get good at failure.
you.
And I think that it's the expectation that you are going to fail. I know as a business owner, I fail more than I'm successful trying different things. I just sent this out to my team because we're working on this funnel and we're trying to figure out what it's going to take for this funnel to take off. And we just keep, in my own opinion, failing at it because it hasn't been successful yet, which is okay. Well, we just have to keep going. Thomas Edison tried the light bulb 10,000 times before it became successful. And in this journey for women to take on financial ownership and financial leadership, that's so powerful to know that you're going to fail. You're going to mess up. And it's been our addiction to perfectionism. And I think that you talk about that too. So I'd love to lean into the conversation about perfectionism. Did you struggle from that at all ever growing up or in real life?
Fortunately, I am not a perfectionist. And I say that fortunately. And that was one of the most significant things I picked up in the Marine Corps was just their decision-making process. They advocate for their young officers to make an 80% decision because there's no such thing as a perfect decision. There's no such thing as a 100% solution because we don't know how it's going to turn out. And so as you're in analysis paralysis and trying to get that one more piece of detail, you're losing time. You're losing time, you're losing momentum, you're losing an advantage. And I've always thought about that. And I think that was a pretty big shift. And perfectionism too can avoid us or can make us avoid starting things. And when we feel failure, we want to quit altogether.
Yeah.
So over the weekend, I was going out for a bike ride and I was 5 minutes away from my house and I got this massive flat tire and I'm a new cyclist. And I'm like, my first thought, this is an omen. I shouldn't be doing this. This is a bad idea today. What am I doing biking? I should probably just quit. And then I'm like, whoa, this isn't an omen. This is a flat tire. This is a fail. This is a lesson. This means that you need to actually learn how to fix a freaking tire. If there's an omen in there, it just means that you need to know your equipment better. And I just feel sometimes when we bump up against failure, missed expectations, we do want to quit because it means that we're going to have to work harder. But I can't think of any time in life when hard work and being victorious on the other side has disappointed me. And it just doesn't work that way. So I love, as you're thinking about your funnel, I get it. It's like, I call it tinkering. It hasn't worked yet, but it doesn't mean I'm ready to quit.
Yeah.
We don't, and we write about this, my co-author and I do in the book, Bet on You. And you don't quit when things get hard. You quit when they suck. When you're no longer happy, where the goal no longer makes sense, that is when you let go. But yeah, quit when it gets hard. I can't imagine a situation where that ever works.
Don't quit when it's hard. Quit when it sucks.
Yeah.
Quit when you don't want to do it anymore. But not because it's hard. I love that. Yeah. I love that. How do you implement the 80% rule today? If it's an 80% decision, is that what you said? 80% decision?
80% solution. Yeah.
Solution.
Gosh, everything. And I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. When it comes to like small things, putting my blog out there, I started my podcast about 2 years ago. If I go back and listen to those early day episodes, they were not awesome. But that's okay. I've learned along the way. And it's like you perfect along the way. I've once heard, don't make a perfect decision, make a decision and work to perfect it. So if you're going to get perfect at anything, perfect your response to failure and just know that you can tinker and iterate on the way through. And I think about parenting and gosh, every area of my life, I think, okay, just get something started. There's another thing we learned in the Marine Corps. It's called the 1/3, 2/3 rule. Man, I'm digging deep into this Marine Corps experience, but it's
I'm all about it.
Yeah. it was called, it's so 1/3, 2/3. If you have time to, you have something you want to do, spend 1/3 of your time planning, 2/3 of your time doing. Because without the doing, you're never going to get experience to know what works and what doesn't work. And I think a lot of us get that wrong. It's like starting a business. Oh, it's got to be perfect. I got to get my business plan and I've got to get the spreadsheet. I've got to do this. And then suddenly it's like, 7/8 time planning and 1/8. And then you try to go out there and cold call into a client or ask for a referral and it doesn't work. And you're just like, well, I guess this is over. And you spend all your time planning, not doing. And it's really where the doing happens. I always think that we can learn so much if we just try.
Yeah. We just try. Can I ask you something somewhat personal and vulnerable? Which is what we're here to do.
That's to be a lot personal.
I know.
Why not? Let's keep going.
Welcome to my show. I want to talk to you from that mutual experience of divorce, because I turned myself inside out to stay married. I tried and tried everything that I knew how to try. I would not quit. And it got to a point where it really sucked. It really, for me, this is my personal experience. It just really sucked. I couldn't fix it. I had to leave. And that was the hardest decision of my life because I don't quit. I'm not a quitter. For you, how did you, I don't know anything about your divorce story, but was there a moment there where you're like, this sucks, I'm out? Or what happened? What made you decide? Because I know that there's someone listening right here, right now that needs to hear this. I know that.
I knew things weren't going well before the divorce. And I love that Taylor Swift song, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. I can do anything, sad, mad, angry with a broken heart. Like I know how to suffer. That's again, gift of the Marine Corps. I can suffer really well and I can deny myself the full spectrum of happiness. If 70% of my life is great and 30% is miserable, I'm like, hey, it's 70%. That's not so bad. I've got it pretty good. Well, here, that's a lie. I think we tell ourselves to suffer longer than necessary. And it was actually my ex-husband who really decided to end the marriage and not choose counseling as an option, which was hard on so many levels because that's when I felt powerless. I felt that I had no choice and I was ejected from the life that I knew. And so lesson learned to my younger self is if you feel that way, if you are not happy, make a decision before a decision is made for you, because then you can at least have more control over the circumstance. So again, completely ejected from my life, naked, afraid, walking in the woods, trying to make sense of what just happened. But the biggest lesson is, why did I compromise my full whole life experience when I knew it wasn't working?
What a lesson.
And it continues to be, right?
Yeah.
Because I think, again, this is one small area. This is a marriage and a relationship. And then you think, where else do I deny myself the opportunity to feel the full breadth of experience? And this is something with my work that I know a lot, is that there are a lot of professionals, primarily women, who are walking through this world without passion and purpose in their life. And I had this really sad experience that was a great wake up call for me, but don't wait for the wake up. Don't wait for the wake up. You can have passion, you can have purpose. And we feel like if nothing changes, that nothing will change. But that's not the case. Everything is always changing. So if you feel like, well, it's fine and we can go on like this forever, something will happen. I don't know what, but something will happen. And the things that we're in denial about have a way of just reappearing.
They do. Oprah calls those the whispers. They just get louder and louder and louder until you have to listen. Until life says no more. You have to listen to whatever this is. How did you discover your purpose and your passion on the other side of divorce?
And I'll say it's still a work in progress. I felt, though, that it was trying on different hats. When I was going through like, okay, I lost half my assets. I need financial security. I started looking at, well, maybe I can get a job. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like as an entrepreneur, it's not always, it's rarely ever steady, secure paycheck. There's a lot of hustle. There's a lot of moxie involved in this path. And so I'm like, well, maybe I need a traditional job. And I started exploring that. And I'm like, it's almost like to me felt like a cat in the wild trying to be a house cat.
Yeah.
It just didn't fit.
That's perfect. That is such a perfect analogy. Can you say that again?
Oh yeah, it was like being a cat in the wild, trying to be a house cat. It just didn't fit. Like I tried it. I tried to wear that hat. I tried other stable positions, and just nothing felt as good. And that was when I just realized, Angie, you've been an entrepreneur for 15 years. And you have been at this time 15, now 20, but like you've been very successful at it. What do you think is going to change? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what about your history says that this is all going to go away? But it's amazing when you feel vulnerable and insecure, whether it's emotionally, financially, insecure, any other way, is that you start to have this scarcity mindset of this is it. There's no more. And then you really have to switch the script and remind yourself, no, there's more. I'm just looking at this wrong.
Yeah, there is more. You're just looking at it. Yeah, it needs to shift. The way that you're looking at it needs to shift. So many good nuggets so far in this conversation. Ones that I'm going to take with me and we'll, yeah, step
Yeah.
up today, right here, right now. What are you waiting for? It's your responsibility. I heard you say that loud and clear. And then I heard you say you lost things in your divorce, but you still had your talents. No one can take that away from you.
Mm-hmm.
And what a valuable lesson that we are still who we are. And for me, my divorce called me to be a greater version of myself, but I did not lose my talents in that process. I love being the actual. I love that. Be the actual, be there for yourself. And financially for you, what do you think other women could hear more of today when it comes to their finances?
I believe it's that abundant mindset that money is a renewable resource.
Mm.
And we tend not to think about it that way. You can always make more money. I can't tell you through my coaching work, and I don't even bring it up. You're the money expert, but this is always inevitably a conversation that I talk to women about. Like, I can't leave my job because of the rewards. I can't leave because of the pension. I can't leave because of the salary. And I hate everybody I work with. I'm treated like crap. Every day I come in, I feel condescended and talked down to. And it's like, you are stuck. You are held hostage by your finances or your perception of this financial security. And it is really, really sad to me that you're giving all of this up and you're not thinking like, I can make money out of it. There's other employers who offer generous benefits. There are other companies where people might be happier. Like, there are other opportunities, but we can get so limited when we feel so insecure.
Yeah. The insecurity is a huge whopper for so many women because it's a huge value of ours. And we won't get into nurture versus nature. And women, we have that want and that need to feel safe and secure. And I think that I believe, I know in my heart, and your story is such a great example of this, that we can still be ourselves and we can still follow our own path. We don't have to stay stuck. We don't have to stay miserable. But it's really through the lens of being our own leader that we have to take the reins. Right?
And reminding ourselves that it's all on you. And I hear this from women often that, well, I used to be so bold. I used to be so brave. I used to assert myself. And it's like, you still are. Just because you haven't been something for a while doesn't mean that you're not. Like, that's in you. That's a part of your DNA. You can be. Just start pulling at it, right? Like it's just buried underneath all the other crap that you've put on top of it. It's like that extra shoe in your closet. Yeah, just dig around. It's underneath the clothes. It's in the
Yeah.
corner. Pull it out. It wants to be worn. And I think that that's something, in a way that I have learned to manifest that, so to speak, is just a couple of really important disciplines I have in my life. And it's at the end of the day, after I say my prayers, I'm a Christian woman as well, I just remind myself who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's just like whatever comes to mind, like I am strong, I am brave, I can handle this, I am kind. And then I wake up in the morning and I just declare what the day is going to be like. You know, today is the day. And is my life perfect? Do my intentions get hijacked all the freaking time? All the time. But then I go to bed and remind myself who I am and I start again the next day. And my hope is that I claim some inches and yards along the way, that I'm moving up the mountain, not down into the valley.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're listening, remind yourself, because I think oftentimes we listen and believe what the world tells us of who we are, but they don't get to do that anymore. You get to declare that for yourself.
You're right. And I know you have a saying that you hold on to of, why not me?
Mm-hmm.
And what a powerful question. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that got me and my business partner into this journey. You know, I was in pharmaceutical sales after the Marine Corps and I wasn't happy. I mean, great job, great career, great salary, company car, the cutest little outfits in this world. And I wasn't happy. And it was just because I missed being of service to people around. Like I really missed that part of my life. And we were looking at like, who's writing books, who's, you know, this is kind of our angle. Like this is something hot here. This military, this was like 20 years ago before Jocko. Like there's something interesting here about this military leadership and business application. Why don't we do this? Well, why can't we do this? Other people are doing it. We think we're just as smart, sometimes smarter than they are. Why not us?
Why not us?
Like, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's such a powerful question for every woman to be in today, in this time of our lives. I don't know what it is. I'm in my 40s. I don't know how. I'm not going to ask you. Well, I'm in my 40s. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And I have a lot of clients now that are in their 40s, and I said, I don't know why, but we're the ones that are now tasked with breaking through ancestral generational cycles and patterns. We are the women of the world today in this generation that I believe are going to set a framework for other women to follow in leadership, in life, in love, and financially. And I have so much respect for you, and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
To step in and really lean into leadership, because at the end of the day, that's what it's going to take for this world to change, is for people to wake up in the question of why not me?
And making it happen. And I love just everything that you said too, that, you know, essentially too, if you see the problems, you have to recognize that you are the only one who can bring about the solution. Mm-hmm. And there's nobody else to delegate it to. It's all on you.
All on you. It's all on you. And you got to bet on yourself.
It's funny because you were talking earlier about just kind of these common beliefs that you had growing up. And it's a reflection of my mom's day and age. You know, she would always say, you go to college to get your MRS degree. She would always say that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like marry well. Is he a doctor? Like I was in the Marine Corps and I remember had a flight surgeon in my office and we were just talking, and my mom, and I was stationed in Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. She calls me and I pick up my cell and I'm like, hey, I'll call you back. And so then he leaves and my mom's like, what were you doing? I said, oh, just so the flight surgeon was down talking. She's like, is that a doctor? I'm like, yeah. She's like, is he cute? I'm like, Mom, but it was like, marry a CEO, marry a doctor. Like that was like the mantra, like do whatever, drop what you're doing. And, you know, you think about the subliminal messages, and I love my mom and I joke about it all this time, but the subliminal message is that somebody else is going to take care of you. And you need to find that in a partner, somebody who can financially give you everything that you need, because you can't do it on your own. And I know she would never unpack it like that, but that's, I think, a message that you hear. And so again, you go through life and you try to find the person who can take care of you. And then you go through a miserable divorce and you realize, oh crap, it's me. I can take care of myself. Yeah. I can do the grill. I could snowplow my driveway. I can fix the engine on the dirt bike. I can do these things. I don't want to do all these things, but dang it, I know how. It's
Yeah.
empowering.
It's so empowering. It's so powerful. And I know someone is listening to this right now going, yeah, yes, today's the day. This is my time. Thank you for all of the amazing courage, amazing talents that you give to the world. Thank you for this amazing conversation. I know I've benefited greatly from it, and I'm so excited to see what you create next. I think you said you have another book in the works.
A book in my mind that's working its way on paper, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so before we end this conversation, do you want to know what your money personality is?
I do. I've been dying to know what my money personality is, and I was going through the questions, and I'm like, it got to one section. I'm like, oh, this is me.
Yeah.
So tell me, please. I want to hear all about it.
Okay, so there's 5 money personalities, and your top money personality is the dreamer. We fondly refer to her as delusional Delilah.
I like dreamer better, actually.
Yeah. Most people do. Dreamers especially like that. My dreamer clients are like, can we call that something else? I'm not delusional. I'm like, well, you kind of are. And all of my clients who are business owners and entrepreneurs, this is one of their top first or second money personality.
Okay.
Because it takes a certain kind of person, big dreamer, big thinker, visionary, action oriented, goal oriented. It takes that kind of person to go after their dreams. And entrepreneurs, I'm a serial entrepreneur too. We got to keep going. We're the ones that keep dreaming, keep going. So that's your top money personality. Now, financially, that can be your greatest strength. And also it can be our greatest weakness, because when we're not playing to our strength, we can have shiny red ball syndrome. Mm-hmm. So we can go after too many things at once. I have dreamers come to me who want to start 3 businesses all at once versus just staying the course with the one that they have. Tony Robbins is a good example of this. He's a huge delusional, we call him delusional Dan, thinks big, dreams big, but he'll bite off more than he can chew and then work to go get it. And that's something that dreamers do pretty well too. Make sense?
It's perfectly, 100%. Something I'm working on actively right now, doing less.
Yeah. So we got to have a plan. We've got to follow through. Some of us struggle with follow through. I don't get that that's you, but some things that are our weaknesses would be that we think really, really big. And sometimes we have to spend some time catching up with ourselves in that dreaming process. But our relationship with risk is the biggest, healthiest relationship with risk. This delusional dreamer, money personality, we're the ones that step out and take the risk the most. So if you're familiar with corporate America, the DISC profile, we tend to be the D's and the I's on the DISC profile. We're going to go for it. And then we'll jump out of the airplane without a parachute and we'll figure it out on the way down.
That sounds right.
Yep. Okay. Your second money personality is probably your balance. Think of it as maybe angel and devil on your shoulder. Your second money personality is the CC, which stands for cheap chip, which is our saver money personality.
Cheap chip.
Yeah. So this person is very conscientious and they tend to want to hold on to their money, and saving is very motivating for them. These are people who don't value things as much as other money personalities, and they can be very analytical in nature. They like a plan. They like to work a plan. In the absence of a plan, they may not feel like they're safe and secure. Also, the cheap chips of any money personality, when they don't have money in the bank, it throws them into a tailspin. Versus other money personalities where you'll hear their opposite, the spender, say, well, I'll just go out and make more money. No problem. I'll just go out and make more money. And so the cheap chip is probably your balance, the one that is the voice of reason to your dreamer. Mm-hmm. And they probably interplay pretty well together.
I think so. And I think the cheap chip is coming from a divorce too. Like, I think that that's something that definitely resonated when you realize that, oh, I have to pay you money and I have to save to pay. And I'm in a lot of trouble if I don't meet these payments, and I don't want to be surprised or feel insecure. So it's like my insecurity avoidance. I love that. Mm-hmm. I love the work that you're doing. And I think having these conversations is such a gift for your audience. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thanks for digging in with me.
Oh, well, thank you for the questions. I'm
Yeah.
happy.
Okay, Angie, where can people find you?
They can go to angieconnect.com. That is my website. I have a blog. I've got my Bet on You podcast. Tons of resources there too, free e-courses as well. If you're thinking about updating your LinkedIn profile, I've got an ebook on how to find your passion and purpose. So tons of goodies there. And if you go to social, the actual Angie.
The actual Angie. I saw that today.
Actual
I love
Angie.
that. The actual Angie. Now that I know that you're being the actual is a part of your learning, that's cool. I like that a lot.
Good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to know you, to meet you, to have this conversation, and I look forward to the next one.
I do too. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being here today. I hope this conversation was super inspiring for you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. And if you're looking to take the first step in my world, I know that you need to know your money personality. Join me on the adventure of knowing what your money personality is and how you can live your healthiest life financially. Do that today.